In the case where they re-advertise and they bluntly state that do not apply, if you had applied before, it is usually because they did not get the suitable candidate and they are looking for candidates again. And remember that sometimes, and I want to stress this a lot, because sometimes candidates don't get, callbacks also because of, certain things that are company related. So the position can be put on hold or completely, cut off. We're not going to need this person anymore. Someone internally will be doing this, or will combine these roles with someone else internally. So it's not always that your CV is not good enough. It's not always that, you're not the right candidate for the job. It is also sometimes to do with the company. And you said politics, where it can also be a case of employment equity. It can be a case of, maybe even, those kind of things. So essentially, I would advise people to, yes, apply, but if you don't get a call back, just know that it's not always your CV.
Friends, I welcome you and thank you for joining us. I've got a very brilliant lady with me from an HR context. I told you that I'm going to bring you all the information that you need to help you with your career path and employment. So I've got somebody special. She will guide you on how you can be able to get employed as quick as possible. Onkabetse Mphako, ma'am, thank you so much. Thank you for making the time. And I just want you to introduce yourself. Let us get to know you, who you are, where you come from, and how you ended in the career field that you are in. Welcome, and over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. So hi, and hi everyone. So essentially, I am originally from Rustenburg, which is a town in the Northwest Province. I grew up there. I went to primary school, high school, and following that, I went to University of Pretoria, where I studied my psychology degree. And then I actually, funny enough, took a gap year. I then went back to do my honors. Essentially, I studied psychology because of seeing someone who influenced me at young age, but high school level, really. She was both in industrial and counseling psychology. She's renowned for her, reputable work, creditable work in the Northwest, area. So that's where the influence started. I went for career counseling. I then found out that psychology would work. I was happy. I applied for psychology. It was my first option. A second to that was architecture. I believe I'm very creative and I wanted to make a difference in people's lives in that regard. I then, however, went to University of Pretoria. At the first glance, when they accepted me, I was super excited. I went to University of Pretoria, and that's where I studied my undergrad and postgrad, which was honors degree.
Good, thank you, and good to hear about your background. But then, how did you end then in HR from psychology?
The story is funny because it was also not planned. So I studied psychology with the intention, I think, as many people, to become a psychologist. But unfortunately, finance didn't add up when I was doing honors, and I decided I needed to, start working. And I applied for jobs October 2018. 2018, I got the job with the first company that I worked for as a full-time employee. And that's how I got into HR. I loved it. I decided to further study it, and I'm currently actually doing my honors in industrial psychology with UNISA. This is my final year of the honors degree.
Awesome. And understand now, so you are branching into industrial psychology, which is very much related to HR though. Is that a field that you see yourself now building your career in, or are you still considering other fields in psychology?
I see myself branching out into, I actually have branched out into, the industrial psychology HR space. I believe I want to grow further in the space. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying just the, psychology, but in corporate, in the workplace. And I see how beneficial even the industrial psychology degree has been in human resource space. So the people element, the people side of things, I honestly am loving, the field that I've branched into, and I think I'm also making an impact, and I think that's the biggest part for me, just seeing what an impact I can do in people's lives. I mean, we spend a lot of time at work, right? So why not have, people like, industrial psychologists or HR making that difference?
Not true. I totally agree with that. And so at the moment, how will you describe your job practice every day? What do you do on daily basis at your work?
Okay, so ideally what I do is, depending on the work, load, but I am a generalist. So anything between recruitment up until the exit of an employee. So essentially the employee's life cycle is what I do. So performance, talent management, and it depends. Some days it's just recruitment. For example, in my workplace this past week, we did induction. So it was just the induction of new employees that we had. So we had to take them through what the company is about, the values, what they'd be expected from them, all of that, and just making sure that they are, feeling welcomed into the organization.
Okay, look, and that's where I want to get into, and that's why I'm so excited that I have you here. One of the problems that I want you to help us with is with regard to, well, unemployment in the country is very high, and I do believe that although there are not many opportunities, but there are also other reasons that make it difficult for others to get a job, and that can relate to HR issues. And that's why I really think you'll be able to help us, and I want you to help us. And as a starter, I want you to just maybe guide us on, when a post is advertised, maybe what goes into the whole process of the selection when people apply. And I'm going to go back to the CV later, but I just want to understand the process. When we send our CVs, we see a post, we apply. What happened afterward on your side until the day we are called for an interview, or you are not called for an interview? I want your answer to be able to answer even the person who never gets called at all. Are we really that bad, or are there other reasons behind us not being called? There's a line they put: if we don't contact you within whatever period of time, consider your thing not considered. But interesting enough, other HR departments are very slow. You find even after that period, they still contact you, and you've already give up because they said, no, 14 days, give up, What happens from the time of application until interview, or silence? Because we get both.
Okay, so actually after we advertise a position, right, we do get the CVs, and sometimes it's due to the large volume of applications that we get that the process is delayed. Sometimes it is due to the company itself that the process is delayed, right? So when it comes to, for example, the large volume, it can take up to 2 weeks just processing the CVs. And some companies actually use application tracking systems that sort of fast process this the application process for them, where other companies have to then do it manually, which can take even longer. So ideally, that's what happens. We screen the CVs and then shortlist candidates based upon the necessary qualification, experience, skill, usually are the 3-4 things that we look into. And then once we've shortlisted, human resource or recruiter would send the shortlisted CV to management. Management would further make a decision whether they want to interview these people or not, or sometimes even return all of the CVs unhappy and their process starts again to shortlist the CVs. So essentially, that's why there's a back and forth between, or a longer extended process of CV screening. And then once we do finalize who we're going to interview, if we then communicate with the client, with the applicant, and then book an interview the candidate, and then hopefully offer them a job. But before offering a job, we'd have to also do credential check, verification of whether you don't have a criminal record, whether you do have a criminal record, and if we still want to hire you based upon what it is that comes out of that.
Okay, so I want to get into the part about the selection process now. When you say you do shortlisting, I want to get just the practical aspect of it. Usually an application will say 5 years experience in whatever, a degree in BCom, for example, and whatever. When you guys do the shortlisting, do you like literally look at, oh, only 5 years, let's tick 5 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tick, can go to the next box. Let's check degree, BCom is there, tick, and if it's not there, we don't consider. Is it that mechanical, or are there other things that you guys, because I'm asking that because you find a job, somebody will say, even though it's 5 years, no, apply, they might not get the right person. Maybe they'll consider you. Is there such a thing?
So let me just give a brief example. So like Indeed, when you apply on Indeed, we're able to filter and say we want someone with 3 years experience, right, in this particular role. We want someone with this skill set. And then we also look at qualifications. So if someone doesn't meet that, automatically the CVs are filtered out, right? And you would get the option to still receive those CVs and then screen them, or just not get them at all. So essentially you would get based upon what you had asked for on the tracking system. Once you've received those CVs, sometimes if a CV looks good, but the individual doesn't have 3 years, but let's say they have 2 years, but they have maybe more experience, you're able to consider that individual because there is there's a balance of work experience versus a qualification.
Okay, so you are basically saying nalaba who are like chances who don't meet it accurately, they can still try it. There's hope.
The thing is, I'm one person that has been on both ends as a recruiter and also as a job seeker, and I've done chances. So I think I chance, and I believe in this thing that if you meet at least 60% of what the job is looking for, still apply. You never know the odds. Sometimes, like I said, the selection process is manual. So you have someone physically looking at the CVs and can be like, this is a great CV, so I'm going to take this individual and, bet on this individual because they at least have so skill set, so qualification. So essentially, if it's a manual process, you can always be lucky.
No, thank you. You are giving us hope. Thank you so much for that. Okay, and so there are two things. I see people will apply, and I'm talking for many people here, even myself. You apply, you don't hear anything at all. Like, no, thank you, we got your CV. Actually, I've never seen thank you, we got your CV. I don't even think they acknowledge having CV. So you don't know whether the CV, when you look for a job for a long time, you don't know whether the CV is lost, they've reached the place or not. Why don't HR acknowledge that we got your CV, or even you are not shortlisted? Try again next time. Others, I think they do, but maybe, I don't know, others do, but others don't. Like, they're just silent. It's just quiet. And it can become frustrating. Why is there no feedback? Like, the only feedback I see is when you go for an interview, you don't make it. But sometimes you don't get anything. No, we got your CV. No, we didn't shortlist you. Nothing. It's just silent.
So,
What did I tell you?
I think a lot of companies right now have heard that cry. We are trying, from my perspective, to rectify that so that when an individual applies on the spot, they get at least an automatic response to say, "Hi, your CV has been received. We will process it. If you do not hear from us, that line 14 days, then just consider your application unsuccessful." So for companies that do not do that, it is also due to large volumes of application and not having that automatic reply, in place. Therefore, it causes another, challenge or workload for you to respond to 1,000 CVs and to say you have been unsuccessful. But if you have that automatic reply, it's easier, which I've seen a lot of companies do that as of now. So I hope that that is the thing that will continue to happen for companies that don't have it in place, because I know also, like I said, from a job seeker perspective, it is not quite pleasant when you don't receive that acknowledgement to say, I have received your CV, we will process it, and if we don't hear from us within 14 days, then just consider your application unsuccessful.
Yeah, no, it's not good at all. I mean, it's very bad to say the least.
It is highly due to a lot of volume of application. So just think about it, even from your own, if it was you, and you received 2,500, emails. Are you telling me that you'd be able to, respond to the emails on the spot or, manually within 2 days? No, I think also that's the difficulty, just getting back to all of the CVs, especially if there's no automatic reply. I think that's quite helpful.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, particularly the automated ones, I think those ones are helpful because remember when we are desperate for a job, and I think generally most people have this experience. If you have really looked for a job for a long time, even when you get a missed call of a private number, you get stressed that particular day. The whole day you're thinking, oh, they called me for an interview. I missed it. You start calling all the companies. Did you call me? And they tell you, no, if it was us, we'll call you again. So it can really become frustrating. But then I want to know, so we apply and you are either called for an interview or you are not called at all. So what happens when you are called for an interview and we did not appoint? What would have led to that? They did not appoint at all. Does it mean all of you guys were that bad that they decided not to appoint? Or are they political issues, or what could lead to that?
So also there's something called culture fit. So we can interview based upon your CV looking good, but and then you come and we foresee that you won't be a culture fit, and also maybe during the interview your salary expectation was something that we cannot afford, or during an interview you could not. There's sometimes within interviews there's competency tests or assessments where someone didn't pass or didn't make it. So it depends also, like I said initially, there's an individual aspect to this and there's also company aspects. So in the sense of a company, it could also be that the position has been put on hold due to whatever reason that the company has, or it could be there
could be variety of reasons.
Yes, variety of reasons.
Okay, maybe break it down. When you speak about culture fit, somebody might be watching from Northwest Limpopo thinking you are speaking about, maybe you don't want Zulu people or whatever. Are you talking about, what do you mean by culture fit? Maybe break it down.
Okay, so culture fit would be, for example, the culture in the organization. Let me break that out. So things like the how we communicate in the organization, the kind of personalities that are in the organization, the environment that the organization is, and you come for into the interview, and perhaps this is a very small company, it's family oriented, and you are this maybe corporate individual who's very strict in your thinking, rigid in your thinking, whereas in the organization is maybe quite flexible, quite, so essentially, if that's the case, you would not be a fit. And we're able to see that in interviews because there's certain questions that we ask, and we're able to measure if someone would be, a great fit for the company in the sense of culture, or person fit, role fit as well.
Oh, okay, no, super then. You also mentioned the issue of you find that we are not able to meet you based on the salary. And I personally had an interview where they asked me in an interview, how much are you earning? I was so uncomfortable. I looked at them, I'm like, oh, my line manager might be here. What if I earn above him? Does it mean they won't appoint me? So I end up saying, no, I'll send my salary slip. We can decide based on that. So I don't know. This question, I don't know. Isn't supposed to be asked by HR in private? Why did they ask it in an interview?
And the thing is, sometimes it's asked even on a job application form.
Yes,
Essentially, yes.
UNISA. I know them. UP, they don't. UNISA, they do.
So essentially, that is done to filter. It's just to make a filtering process as well. Can we afford this person? Let's just get it from the get-go to know initially if we can afford this person or not. Let's not waste any time further. So sometimes depending on the belief of the organization, you find that they'd ask it in an interview. But then it can also be flexible. So depending upon what you give them, I'd highly recommend that you always say negotiable, so that they know that you're open to negotiating a salary. So even if you give them a huge, large, salary, you are able to say negotiable, and that shows that the willingness, really. So I think salaries are also very touchy. It's a very touchy conversation. So but above and beyond, it's just to filter candidates as well.
No, you are right. They are very touching because my question now and on the issue of salary, and I know we'll get to the scale part. You guys have got a scale for a particular post level. So when you are saying somebody you can't afford him, are you saying the person is above that level? Or, I hear about other companies will say, we don't want people to be above this midpoint, something like that. When you say a person you can't afford, what does that mean? What does it mean? Maybe just practically,
Okay. So the thing is, before a job is being advertised or, advertised, there is processes that, are in place. So there has to be an agreement in terms of budget, right? So a budget is informed by also the grading of that position. So a position is essentially coming up as a need, right? So it is either the need is based upon a company growing, so you'd get a new role, or it is as a means of a replacement. So then a budget comes forward, right? So when we say we can't afford an individual, it is because of the budget that is initially agreed upon prior to the advertisement of that job role. There are chances and chances and places where that can be, negotiated, but most of the time when it's predetermined, that's where human resources as well as the company is willing to play around.
Are you saying that if the scale is below what I'm earning, I shouldn't bother to apply if they're not willing to negotiate? But obviously, they will not even put it there. I know UP or most investors don't even put negotiation there. UP, I know them very well. They don't.
The thing is, on a job position, on a job post, you can get a salary range saying maybe 10 to 15K. Also, the company can say negotiable based upon experience. That's what you can get. Sometimes they don't put it at all. When they don't put it at all, and I usually advise people that they don't ask about salaries in the first interview, because the company as well just feels that you're in it for the money. Yes, we know you need to earn the money to make a living, but it also just gives us, some sort of red flag when someone automatically just wants to know how much they'd be earning. I think we want you to sell yourself first to see where your value lies, whether you're an asset or not, before we can start thinking about, okay, fine, can we negotiate with this person? And I think for me, primarily, if someone comes in and sells themselves excellently, when it comes to salary negotiation, it's easier because now we want you sold yourself. We want you. If you say, I want 200,000, then you know what? Maybe let's meet this, gent halfway. So essentially that's what I advise people to, always do. Sell yourself, negotiate later. It's even easier when you negotiate at that stage.
Okay, so what I do, let me give on my side, because you are speaking about bringing salary topic. So I don't bring the salary topic in the interview, but before I apply, I email whoever the contact person there. Please give me the specs, who's the line managers, especially if the company I know. Who am I going to report to? Maybe it's my previous enemy. I don't want to go back to the previous enemy. Who's the line manager? What's the scale and all that? My first question will be, if you are in HR and I've asked you that, do you reveal that during your shortlisting, or even between you and me that I've asked that question? That's number one. Number two, if I find out that your scale is below what I'm earning, should I still continue to apply, hoping after selling myself I can negotiate, even though the advert never said open to negotiation? What do I do at that point?
If you apply for a position and you're not sure of the salary scale, so the organization didn't put it there, you are welcome to always ask before you also waste your time. If you feel that excuse me, you may be more than what the company can offer, it's always advisable, or you can actually ask the recruiter or the hiring manager to disclose that information. It's just that there's times where, the salary can be negotiated if you are above the bracket, but other times it cannot be negotiated because essentially the budget has already went out, and that's where the company is willing to, stick.
Okay, I hear you. So yeah, no, this thing of the salary is a very important one, because I think the gist of the matter is that we want to be paid, and we want to be paid well.
Yes,
And most of the companies, yeah.
Sorry, and
continue.
sometimes you find that you want to be paid well, yes, and that's granted. Everyone wants to be paid well. However, you can come in with a lower salary and then prove yourself and have that, amended at a later stage, if I'm making sense. So essentially, prove yourself.
Or you mean like, I take a job, they offer me lower than what I'm earning?
Yes.
Yo? Yo?
Well, the thing is, if you've been unemployed for a year or 3 years, think about it.
Yeah.
You take it.
Yeah,
You take it. Yes, if you're unemployed, think about it. You take it now, and then you obviously would have to, work yourself up or prove yourself, and then ask your line manager, can we relook at this at a later stage?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, look, I've had people who do that. The only problem is that because it's not written and people die, things happen, people get fired, you are the only one who knows your story. That's one thing.
So essentially, if you have asked for a review after 3 months of joining, 6 months of joining, make sure that it is in writing. Because if it is in writing, anyone else can do a follow-up should anything happen to the individual that was involved in your hiring process.
Okay. Perfect. Can you do that even though you are a new employee or you are an outsider?
An outsider?
Yeah,
How?
we are talking about somebody who's an intern, now has been offered a permanent. What
Yes,
if you are
yes.
just an outsider? You've just been offered a job. They only know you from interview and emails. Can anybody do that, or you need to be internally to do that?
Okay, so anyone can do that. So if if you're an external applicant or candidate that is not satisfied with the offer that you've received, you are welcome to state the very same reasons, or to write an email conveying your wish for an relook at your salary. It is not just for internal candidates.
Okay, because somebody was telling me that when you negotiate from outside, usually when you are internal, because the line manager knows you, can also put a weight for you. Does it make a difference whether you are outside or internal? Because we don't know you, even if you make noise, like we have got another person who was second appointable. We can just say no, if and go, let's give the offer to the next person. Isn't it that simple for somebody causing us problems?
And if you sold yourself really well in the interview, if you've passed the assessments, if they were assessments, if we really, really are keen on appointing you, we most often would be willing to consider. I have experience where people would really come in to say, hi, thank you so much for the offer. However, a 1,000 rand more would really go a long way because I believe so and so and so, etc. You are able to negotiate, and if you've impressed, most often than not, you will get the
Review.
review.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Before we get to now, when you are called for an interview, can you guys, or do you guys reject a person based on how the CV looks? Is there a bad CV? I just want to get clarity on that, because I remember when I started in job industry, a friend of mine used to laugh at us that we have a tombstone CV. You know that CV where it makes your lack of experience look like you don't want to make it one page, even though you're not on its own, it's one page, but you are trying to extend it.
Yeah,
With the tombstone approach. So now that this CV with the summaries, I come from this, they give you a background, a professional paragraph, whatever. Are they CVs that are preferred that will get you a job, or at the end of the day, you want to know, do you have the experience? Do you want to have the years? What's your take on that?
Okay.
Can somebody be rejected because the CV is bad? Do you guys check spelling? Do you guys check, what do you check on a CV? To take it or not take it?
Okay, so to answer your question, yes, a person can be rejected based upon the CV presentation. So essentially, there's CVs where you can't make out what the person is saying, and that tombstone of a CV that you made an example of would be something that and the thing with CV screening is that it's a fast process, few seconds. I want to be sold as well. So if I still need to think about what you were trying to say, if you have hobbies now, or you have certain things that won't make that won't sell you, then it's difficult for me to shortlist your CV. I mean, a good CV should at least have you have your professional or targeted titles that you're looking for, have an objective or summary of your experience, where you've been, where you want to go, your skill set, your experience, your educational background, qualification. Just keep it neat and make sure that it's consistent, across the board. We don't want to see fonts that are, here it's Arial and then New Time Romans, and then here it's, 16, the font size is 16. No, it has to really be consistent, and make sure that it's something that if you also saw, you would want to, shortlist this individual.
Super. And I think because you've been at UP, I'm going to ask you this one. Most companies, they've got an electronic application system which asks you the same things which are on the CV. And it's a very cumbersome process for me to be putting all what I have a CV to attach. What purpose does it serve? Do you guys get the electronic summary, which has got everything that's on the CV and the CV? Or what do you look at when you get this? Because and maybe it's my fault, I don't usually the summary one, the computer one, I just give you the highest qualification. I don't have time to go. I just, in my mind, I'm thinking you'll have the CV. What should we do when we have the electronic and then I'm attaching the CV as well? Even on Indeed and whatever, you attach a CV, but they'll open these long things. You still put the same information again. How does it help somebody? Or how should we do it correctly? Or how do you guys use it?
Okay, so I know it's quite tedious. However, when you fill out the electronic form, right? So when you say filter based on qualification, if the qualification is there, it's easy for you to filter. So if I filter based upon professional or job title, and you haven't filled that in, your CV is not going to get selected. So the purpose of the electronic form is just for also filtering purposes, and then your CV is for my eyes as well. I don't know if I'm making sense. So it's easy to then take your CV after that filtering process to say, okay, fine, I've got this person now. I want to see, what the objective summary is, how all of those things that I couldn't filter on the electronic what's this form.
So if, for example, you have an honors in industrial psychology, instead of filling my undergrad was, I just fill honors in industrial, will that affect the filtering, or will I still be shortlisted? Because I'm trying to think of, for me, just the practical aspect. If I tell you I've got masters in ed psych, I have an honors already by virtue of that. So will that affect it, or should I perhaps, and I started to think about it, maybe I need to put BSc if it's different from the master's level. I don't know.
I would really advise that you fill it out, because like you said, if we're saying minimum, let's say it's a degree, and you haven't filled that out, obviously the system won't be able to pick that up.
Okay. So basically what you are saying, we just need to fill everything. Just give them what they want. You want a job, they want you. So meet each other halfway.
Yes. Fill it in so that we are able to do our job, and also we are able to spot you. So I'd really advise that people fill that in, as tedious as it is, just for selection purposes.
No, thank you for that. Okay. Yeah, look, there are too many things I can ask about this. Maybe because I've applied a lot for jobs in my life. But then let's move to, you have applied, you have been shortlisted, and you are invited for an interview. What are the tips that you'll say one needs to know in preparation for an interview? Because I'm thinking your CV gets you there. What do you guys want when I come for an interview? Because you plan questions, and does my CV in anyhow influence the type of question that you ask? I've seen other people, what they do, they will take the advert and convert the, what do you call it? Not job description. maybe job description into questions. Others, they've got an internal standard questions. They don't change. Whether you are black, blue, whatever, they are just those questions. If you go for interview this month, next month, the same questions if you are on the panel. So I don't know, maybe to help us, because one prepare for interview and you find, you don't know where to start. How do you guys come up with the question? What do you ask? What should one, do you study your CV thoroughly? How do you prepare?
Okay, so to prepare for an interview, I would advise people to, get to know the company that you've applied for better. Just take a good 15, 30 minutes just studying what the company does, why you would be interested in working for that company, right? And then make sure that you are presentable, you're able to articulate yourself well, and also just sort of have examples of the kind of work that you've done in the past. So, for example, we will ask behavioral questions, just to get a sense of what it is that you've done and how you've handled certain situations, right? So essentially prepare and have an example for everything that you mention. If I do ask you a question of, have you managed conflict before? Give an example. Tell me how you resolved it and what was the outcome. You see? So essentially, those are the basic preparations of an interview, and just make sure that you rehearse if you have to, just to come up as someone that really wants this job, and come eager, be positive, and just prepare yourself for the interview.
Does it happen where you have a bad interview and they still select you because of your CV?
I don't have that experience. I don't have experience where someone had a bad interview and they were selected. I suppose it could happen if ever maybe the individual maybe was, I don't know. Let me not lie. I don't have experience.
There's a reason I'm asking it, because there's some people who can express themselves written and they are not applying for, let's say I'm applying as a programmer. I'm just going to be quiet in my office with the computer. So communication skills are not what is actually typically required for my work. And I'm not an interview person, but CV wise, my work can speak for me. Does it happen? Do you guys consider that what the job wants and that the interview, the different context, does it matter to HR people when they interview me that this job will not require this person to speak? Let's acknowledge that it's not a good communicator, but we won't need it.
Okay, so it does happen. For example, your technical people, where they come into an interview, they're unable to express themselves, fully, especially in English. Sometimes you'd get someone that can assist with interpretation. Sometimes if you're able to, or fortunate enough to be multilingual, you'd be able to, have this person maybe express themselves in a language that, they can express themselves better. But essentially, English is the medium language. So we interview in English, but some of the times you can see that this person can't express themselves, but they're able to do the work. For example, a technician, you can always take this person for assessment, maybe get them to connect cables, whatever the job requires, and you're able to assess if this person would be able to do the job, as long as also the individual and the line manager would be able to communicate well, hear each other, be able to converse, because ideally this person won't just be connecting cables, but they have to report to someone, right? So you need to make sure that this individual is able to at least express themselves to a certain degree. And sometimes you find that the person cannot express themselves only because they're nervous, which happens a lot. But as soon as the person is, relaxed, they are able to, at least, express themselves at a better space. And essentially you are able to, give them the job.
No, super. I think the key part there is that as long as the person and the line manager will be able to communicate. And I understand usually with most interviews, the line manager will be there. So to give that comment on that, we spoke about you apply for a job, they don't appoint, but there's another phenomena where you apply for a job, kind enough, they email you back, or they don't even email you. Perhaps they can just show on the advert, we have decided to not appoint or to re-advertise the position. Candidates who applied previously, they must apply again. Now, when I see that, now I'm wondering why do they want us to reapply again? Because if we applied, they should have shortlisted us and interviewed us. What will have led to that? And because in my mind, I'm thinking, maybe we're not good enough, that's why they re-advertised. Or maybe I was alone, they wanted 2 people to compete with me. I don't know. But I remember there was a position that happened like that. But that we actually went to interviews and we made. I remember the queue that time. What will happen for re-advertisement and you are encouraged to reapply?
Okay, I just want to find out, in the case where, in your example, was it an electronic application?
Yeah, if the electronic application, you apply, and when they re-advertise, they will indicate this re-advertisement, candidate who applied previously can still apply. You know, others are very blunt. If you applied previously, please don't apply again. So which means clearly, indirectly, they're saying you are not, that's the reason why you are re-advertising. But others, they'll tell you reapply. So I wouldn't know, like, why do you want me to reapply? You have not answered me in my first application and you have it in your office, but you want me to go and print and certify again and whatever. Why would they do that? I'm asking questions of people that did things that you're not aware of, but maybe you might have an insight into why it happens that way.
Okay, so I don't have experience of an application that was re-advertised and then the candidates asked to re-advertise again. But the question that I asked with regards to it, was it electronic or not, would maybe be as a case of maybe the system that didn't, that didn't, or that
Or it
crashed, or so it could potentially be as a result of the system. If it was a manual process, or the hacking, with electronic things, there could be hacking, there could be this, there could be loss of that, etc. So I think in that regard it could be that, but I don't have an experience of reapply if you had previously applied. In the case where they re-advertise and they bluntly state that do not apply if you had applied before, it is usually because they did not get the suitable candidate and they're looking for candidates again. And remember that sometimes, and I want to stress this a lot, because sometimes candidates don't get callbacks also because of certain things that are company related. So the position can be put on hold or completely cut off. We're not going to need this person anymore. Someone internally will be doing this, or will combine these roles with someone else internally. So it's not always that your CV is not good enough. It's not always that, you're not the right candidate for the job. It is also sometimes to do with the company. And you said politics, where it can also be a case of employment equity. It can be a case of, maybe even those kind of things. So essentially I would advise people to, yes, apply, but if you don't get the call back, just know that it's not always your CV.
Okay, no, thank you for that. And then maybe lastly, let me touch on this thing, job hopping. People like us, young professionals, we have so much energy. You find we move from one job to the other for various reasons. One of them could be to increase your salary. So I want to find out, do you guys, when I say you, I mean HR people, does it look bad on you when I've been there for 5 months or 1 year, then I'm moving there, and you can see for the past 3 years I've been changing a job? Do you guys take that into consideration or not so? Because we do it, but I've heard that it might be a bad thing. What do you guys consider it? Or does it have any effect on you guys when you do selection? Do you ever discuss that?
Yes, so job hopping is something that we look into. It usually is seen as a bad thing. I think with recent studies, it does also show that millennials do, there's a difference in what they're looking for. So usually, millennials right now are looking for impact. They're looking for a company where they can, really showcase their skills, have be challenged to grow in a certain way. So if it happens that someone does join an organization, but after 3 months they realize that, and sometimes it's even the job. You realize that the job is not a fit. It's not what you thought it would be. It does happen that certain things like that happen. However, job hopping does not look good on the CV. If the automatic thing that you think is this person is maybe trouble or a problem, so essentially you don't think about the other, there's two sides to the story, or that this individual may be looking for culture fit, role fit, etc. You always we are prone to think that this person is just trouble.
So you can't think a person is still doing career exploration stage, still not yet settled.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I'm saying, that it with current research to say a person may be looking, is finding themselves even sometimes, but um it's been sort of the notion that if a person job hops, it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. It's been believed to be a bad thing for a long time. But I think things are changing in that regard to say, you know what, that's not always the case. And in most times in the past, we would, if this person has what we feel we need, interview this person and find out why they job hop.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it and appreciate your time. Maybe just closing remarks to any kid at Northwest, Marapiane, Limpopo, Sikukuni, who want to enter into the job market and they have no clue what's happening, or they're just listening to this. Any last words of encouragement, or somebody have been rejected at work and feeling like they want to leave and go to another employer? Anyway, just general comments that you might want to share with people who might be frustrated by HR. HR are lovely people, but we know that we frustrate them as much as they frustrate us. Any last words in closure?
So in closure, I just want to say that human resource is not the bad person as always. People would assume. I think the we are trying to bring back the human in human resource recently. With COVID-19, we're trying so much to bring that element where you can really connect with people. And I think job seeking is not an easy process. It's really stressful. It's a full-time job. I've been a job seeker. What I do is I am always on. I consider it a full-time job. I'm on LinkedIn. I make sure my profile is up to date. Update LinkedIn. Make sure that Indeed is also updated. Apply consistently. I'd apply for over 10 jobs sometimes in one day based upon, job posts. Sometimes I would apply for positions that are close to human resource, but not necessarily human resource. If I believe that I could do it and I have evidence to show that I can do it, I'm not gonna apply for an ECTA position if I really don't have the background, but something that that you've got evidence to show, and you've got certain skills to do. Apply and see how far it goes. Prepare yourself for the interview, because sometimes the screening calls come in when you're not ready. So make sure that you're ready for a call any minute. And when you do get that call, convinced that you can, work for this company. You know, job seeking is not an easy phase. It causes you to even lose confidence at some point, but I'd really advise that just keep going and make sure that you also invest in personal growth as you're sitting. Try and read up on something, YouTube something that will assist you in getting your next position. because we do ask that in interviews, what are you currently doing? You know, just as an assessment to see if someone is, you know, invested, if they, you know, invested in their own growth as well. So I think I'd advise people to be proactive rather than reactive, and all the best with your job seeking, you know, journey.
Thank you so much, Onkabetse Mphako. I thank you so much. I really appreciate. Thank you for the time. Thank you for all the information that you have shared. I think this is very, very valuable, and many people will learn from it. I've learned a lot personally. I think you have given me tips personally on my career journey that I can still apply, and hopefully I will be having better negotiation skills after this. I really appreciate. Thank you so much. I really appreciate.
You're welcome. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Friends, thank you so much. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and I encourage you that share this video with other people who might be looking for jobs. Make sure they subscribe to this channel so that they can be informed about careers. There are many things that will be uploading. There are many videos that will be uploading in the coming weeks. You need to share this so that other people are also informed about career opportunities that exist, particularly in South Africa, where many people are not employed, particularly the youth. So make sure that you share this video. If you are not a subscriber of this channel, I encourage you that you take time before you close this video by subscribing to the channel. I told you that subscribing, you don't pay a thing. It's just a matter of making sure that every time I share a video, you will get that video on your phone. The video will come to your phone, you'll be able to see it that you have uploaded. So if you don't subscribe, you will not be aware every time I share a video. So subscribe by clicking the red button at the corner of this video. You must be on YouTube to be able to subscribe. Not on your phone, you might not see it. Make sure that you are on the YouTube channel. Whether you are on the YouTube on your phone or your computer or your laptop, but make sure you are on the YouTube channel. If you got this link through Facebook or any other platform, make sure you are on the YouTube channel. Click the link to go to the YouTube channel and subscribe at the bottom at the corner of this video so that you can be able to get more videos that I share. And also click the notification icon at the bottom, the bell. Click the bell and you'll be able to get notified every time I post a video. But lastly, make sure that you comment. Leave your comment at the bottom of this video. Your comment is a way to give me feedback so that I can be able to know how the video has assisted you, what you want us to improve on the video, what other topics you want us to tackle. If you've got any question, put it on the comment section and I will be able to attend to it. And remember, if you want me to share every post that I will be sharing every week with you directly, click on the link below here. The link is named email list. When you click on that link, I will get your email and make sure that I send you email of every position that is advertised every week. Whenever government advertise or any position that we get, I will be sharing it with you through that particular email. So leave your email and I will be able to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed and enjoy the rest of the day. And I trust that you will continue pursuing to live a fulfilling life. Let's continue living a life to the fullest. I love you and God bless you.